I have one of my wiring diagrams here and it already has fuses in place. And I felt like it was going to be easiest to show where the fuses need to be in a system and then explain why they are where they are. Now in this video, I'm going to be using the term fuses and breakers interchangeably because they're both just forms of overcurrent protection. The two most important things to understand when trying to determine where a fuse should be in a system is which direction is the power flowing, and also how much power potential could be flowing through the wires. So the batteries are always going to be the source, let's consider it the source of unlimited power, if you will, because if we short-circuited a battery bank, it could flow a lot of amps. Depending on how big of a battery bank it is, what type of batteries, it could be thousands of amps if you short-circuited large wires directly off of the battery bank. So that's where we consider our source of unlimited power. And so we always want to be looking at which direction the source of unlimited power is going. So for this system, power is going to be flowing out of the battery bank along this positive and along this negative line, going to our links distributor, which is then sending power to and from our various loads and chargers. Now the fuse, it really should be as close to this positive battery terminal as it possibly can, because this battery bank is the source of unlimited power. And if we short-circuited these wires right here, these two wires, the positive and negative coming off of the battery bank, there's going to potentially be, let's call it 1,000 amps flowing from this battery bank. We need that fuse to be in place to protect that short circuit event. Similar to in here, inside of the links distributor, which is holding all the fuses for all of these wires coming out to our inverter charger, our DC to DC charger, and our solar charge controller. Each one of those positive wires is protected by a fuse that's in the links distributor. Let's talk about the solar charge controller, for example. Our source of unlimited power is the batteries, which is feeding the links distributor. The links distributor can then be considered the source of unlimited power because it's being directly fed by the battery bank. So these wires that are going out to the solar charge controller, if a short circuit happens right here on these wires going to the charge controller, the source of unlimited power is going this direction through this fuse that's protecting those two wires. And this fuse will blow in the event that these two wires are short-circuited. That would cut flow of power off from the battery bank. And that's the same concept on the inverter charger as well as the DC charger here with the other fuses in place there. If we follow these lines up to our DC fuse block to our 12-volt DC loads like our fans, our lights, USB outlets, all that kind of stuff, we have the fuse in here and the links distributor that is going up and is protecting these two wires from a short circuit event. Now inside of the 12-volt fuse block, there's going to be even more fuses because every time we go down in wire size, most of the time it needs a fuse. I would say like 95% of the times it needs a fuse. So we're going from a 100 amp fuse here protecting 6-gauge wire with 105-degree insulation rating, and that can deliver more power to this entire fuse block. Now each one of these circuits going off of the fuse block, it needs its own fuse because this fuse here is too large to protect the potentially 16-gauge wire that we need to run just 2 or 3 puck lights. So there's fuses in all of these since that will protect from the unlimited source of power way back here at the battery bank. So that's the concept for the source of unlimited power, the maximum power potential of the battery bank. Now let's talk about current limited devices for a second and switch gears, and where it kind of gets confusing is the direction of chargers. So power is going to be coming out of the chargers through the links distributor back to the battery bank to charge the battery bank. That's on the charge controller, that's on the DC to DC charger. If the multi-plus inverter charger is connected to shore power and is charging the battery bank, all that power is going to be going this direction through these fuses and then back to the battery bank. Now on the source of unlimited power, the fuse should be as close to the source of unlimited power as it can be. Now the opposite direction, these wires are ultimately unprotected whenever whenever it comes to being a charger. And let's kind of explain why that's actually still safe. The fuse is on this end for our solar charge controller, and the charge controller is really only going to be pushing power one direction. It's only going to be pushing power this direction whenever it's trying to charge the battery bank. But this fuse doesn't protect this wire from a short circuit event if the power is flowing here. If there is a short circuit that happens on these two wires, this fuse will blow. That will cut power from the battery bank and keep 1,000 amps from trying to flow to that short circuit. But there's still going to be power flowing this direction, and that's just how it works, and there's really no way to protect against this. Let's say, for example, this is a 30 amp charge controller that's going to flow 30 amps along these two wires back to our links distributor, back to our battery bank. If there's a short circuit that happens here and this fuse blows, power is still going to be flowing this direction at a rate of 30 amps and is going to feed 30 amps to that spot in the wires. Well, that seems kind of dangerous, right? So, that short circuit could potentially heat up, and yeah, it's absolutely true, but there's no way to protect against that. What size of fuse would you use there on this end of the wires so that the 30 amp charge controller could flow 30 amps of power under normal operation, but also protect against a short circuit event where it's going to try to flow 30 amps of power? You can't, because the short circuit amount, or the short circuit current coming this direction and the normal operation current are the same. So there's no way to protect against one while still allowing the other one to function properly. And so there's no way to protect these wires against a short circuit event from the current limited device. And this is accounted for in ABYC. The only way to really protect these wires from a short circuit event on this side of things is to honestly just make sure that you have good workmanship in your installation and make sure everything is, has protection from edges or anything sharp. Everything's tied up nice and neat so that it's not rubbing on stuff, and there's really no chance to have a short circuit event on these wires. So let's take a step back and talk about what is a short circuit event. Well, in our case here, we're talking a short circuit event is where a positive and negative wire come in contact, which allows power to just flow freely from the battery bank. It will flow as much power as is available. The short circuit will flow as much power as is available to it. So if it has 1,000 amps, it's going to try to flow 1,000 amps. If it has 30 amps available to it from a charge controller, it's going to flow 30 amps. So a short circuit event could happen if you touch a positive and negative wire together, but just don't do that first off. But more often than not, when we're talking about an installed system, it could be whenever the two wires run over like a piece of metal and they rub, and over time that piece of metal eats into the insulation of the wires and contacts the copper inside of the wires, and then that that piece of metal just becomes a bridge between the positive and negative wires. And as far as distances from the different components and stuff like that the fuse can be on the wire, ABYC generally says that should be 7 inches. It has a few exceptions in the standards, but the general rule is they want the fuse to be within 7 inches of the source of unlimited power, if you will. That can be extended if the wires are in sheathing or in some kind of enclosure or something like that, but 7 inches is the general rule. But having the fuse as close to the positive terminals or on the actual bus bar itself is always going to be the best way. So how about breakers and fuses for shore power? Well, we have this shore power cord connected to a campground power pedestal or just a standard household outlet at your friend's garage or something like that. And it's going and feeding into the multiplus. And you'll notice that there's no breakers or fuses or anything like that on that entire wire going from the outlet all the way to the inverter charger. And the reason that is because there's a breaker inside of the shore power pedestal, or there's a breaker in the breaker box that's protecting the outlet that you're plugged into. And it's the same reason why there's no breakers or fuses whenever you plug in a coffee maker or something like that. It's protected in the wall at the source of power, which is the breaker box. Now there's a few different rules and considerations depending on which standards you're following that says you may need to have a breaker on this wire here coming from the inlet to the inverter charger, but it just kind of depends on the jurisdiction which you're in. So always, pay attention to the standards on where you're building. Now for solar array wiring. Now there's no overcurrent protection in this particular wire for this solar panel because it's not needed. Now solar array wiring is actually significantly more confusing than all of this, and I have a specific video covering just solar array wiring, so we'll link to that in the video description so you can go check that out if you need to. And lastly, for fuse sizing. Well, we're not going to talk about sizing in this video because I also have a video about that specifically. And all of my diagrams and all of our kits in our store have the proper fuse sizes built into them or on the actual diagram. But if you're trying to, design your own system, I've got a specific video and a calculator that'll help you figure out the proper fuse size for whatever you've got going on. And that's all for this video, and I hope you found it helpful. We'll see you next time.